Coming up on today's show, more Deshaun Watson trade rumors. Has Jimmy Garoppolo's trade value cratered? The Niners get rewarded with their comp picks, and is Arden Key going to return to the Bay, which would really be a nice addition to this 49ers defensive line considering what he did last year. All of that's cooking up on the 49ers report, but first, I want to gauge where the fan base is at. Get into the shoes of John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. Would you trade for Deshaun Watson? Let me know. Type Y for yes, N for no. Get into the comment section, and let's start today's show. Welcome into the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Senior. Hope all of your weeks are going in grand fashion. A loaded show coming your way. And we begin with the 49ers being rewarded with their comp picks. Now, we knew that these comp picks were coming at some point, and now going into the 2022 NFL Draft from April 28th to the 30th, the 49ers have a bunch of picks at their disposal. These are just their comp picks, and really their most notable selection. They don't have that first-round pick. They gave that away in that deal for Trey Lance, but they do pick at 61st overall in the second round, and then these comp picks, 2 in the third round, 2 in the 6th round, and 1 in the 7th round. So from that, we transition to Deshaun Watson. Now, earlier on, Jordan Schultz had reported that the 49ers were set to meet with Deshaun Watson tomorrow on Wednesday. Then there were a bunch of reports from some really notable reporters like Peter Schrager, saying that the Niners were not going to meet with Watson. But then there's this from Jason Dumas of KRON in the Bay Area. He's the sports director at that local news station. He said this, source, despite multiple refuted reports, I've been told that there is, in fact, mutual interest between the 49ers and Deshaun Watson, and that it is actually one of Deshaun Watson's preferred trade destinations, so take that for what it's worth. So it's kind of funny. The Schultz report comes out, and already it gets shot down by some of the big-name media members all across the media landscape. So after that Schultz report, did the 49ers front office just text every notable reporter out there and say, take to Twitter right now and tell everybody that we are not invested in Deshaun Watson and we're not meeting with him tomorrow? Something to maybe consider, and maybe that's a conspiracy theory. As for the 49ers' interest in Deshaun Watson, a Niners trade for Deshaun Watson doesn't make a lot of sense to me for a couple of reasons. They lack the draft capital to give up in a trade for Deshaun Watson. They don't have a first-round pick until 2024, and if the Niners wanted to trade for one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League, they would have to gut this roster. The asking price for Houston is going to be extraordinarily high. We're talking about draft capital, a player like Nick Bosa, George Kittle, Trey Lance, and maybe even Deebo Samuel in that package as well. So while I'm high on Deshaun Watson, and I think he's the third best quarterback in the NFL behind Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, he'd really be marvelous in the Bay Area as a quarterback. I'm not talking about the legal stuff aside. I'm talking about him from a player evaluation standpoint. You would have to gut your roster, and you would weaken your roster by trading for Deshaun Watson. From Watson's point of view, though, he gets to go from a dysfunctional franchise in the Houston Texans to one of the most well-run organizations in San Francisco for a head coach who's creative, who's an offensive mastermind, who's been able to bring the best out of Jimmy Garoppolo, leading him to 2 NFC title games and a Super Bowl appearance, and extract the best out of players like C.J. Beathard and Nick Mullins. Deshaun Watson is probably licking his chops at the idea of playing in Kyle Shanahan's offense, which is, of course, quarterback friendly, but takes the pressure off of quarterbacks because the run game is so dominant. As for what Watson was able to do in 2020 when he last played, again, we're talking about him and viewing him as a player, not the legal stuff, and now he's not facing any criminal charges. 70% completion percentage back in 2020. He threw for nearly 5,000 yards, 33 tutties to 7 picks, and a QBR of 70.5. And if you go back and look at that Houston Texans roster, he didn't have DeAndre Hopkins because Bill O'Brien traded him away for a damn running back. His number 1 wide receiver was Brandon Cooks. The offensive line was porous. The defense was bad. There wasn't any general manager. Bill O'Brien was basically the de facto GM at that point for the Texans, and this was an organization that was chaotic, and the 49ers are the polar opposite of that. So that's why some people are invested in the idea of trading for Watson. Now, you'd have to give up a bunch. You'd have to give up that player capital as well as those draft picks and Trey Lance to even have a chance to bring him in. And you're competing with a bunch of other teams across the National Football League. But as a player, this guy is absolutely special, and he would immediately make the 49ers contenders in the NFC because right now with Trey Lance, they already are. So I already asked you if you would go after Deshaun Watson, but how about your level of interest in him? Scale it for me from 1 to 100. 1, not at all. 100, all in. Sound off in the comment section right now. Now, in business, it's important to continue to evolve, and here on the 49ers Report, we continue to evolve to the platforms that you as the viewers use, like Rumble. Really excited about this partnership, and on Rumble, you'll find free and uncensored content in all types of categories: sports, news, politics, tech, business, and you can also find 49ers Report content on the Rumble app as well. Now, make sure you give us a follow by going to rumble.com/49erstv. Under the Chat Sports umbrella, we already have the most viewed video on Rumble, but some of the least subscribers. Only 69 subscribers on the Rumble app. That is not a lie. I'm not perverted. I'm not just saying that because that. I'm saying it because it's legit. We need more subscribers on the Rumble app. So go to rumble.com/49erstv and show me that you appreciate all the work that we put in to bring you the latest 49ers news and rumors. I'll put that link in the comments section as well as the description of this video. From Deshaun Watson to a quarterback who's still on the 49ers roster who has not yet been traded. And according to Benjamin Allbright, who covers the NFL based out of Denver, Garoppolo's trade value has, quote, cratered. Has it? Has it not? Here's what Allbright had to say on 95.7 The Game. The market on Garoppolo has cratered. I don't think the Colts are in on him at all. I think it's going to be Marcus Mariota. I think the shoulder surgery thing is just adding salt to the wound there, and it's just a bad situation. The Niners were hoping to get a pair of twos for him, and at this point, they'd be lucky to get a day 3 pick for him. Now, prior to the shoulder injury, I had said, I think the Niners can get back a second-round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo because I think he brings talent to the table and a lot of important intangibles to the table for a franchise quarterback. But the shoulder injury and the shoulder surgery has certainly impacted his trade value just a bit. And there's been a lot of quarterback movement out there. Yes, marquee superstars like Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, they found new homes. Deshaun Watson not facing legal charges has thrown a wrench into the 49ers' plans. The Pittsburgh Steelers didn't go after Jimmy G. Instead, they settled for Mitchell Trubisky. So his market has been altered somewhat. And up until a couple of days ago, I thought that the Niners had played their cards well. But right now, the only quarterback-needy teams that you're really looking at, it's the Carolina Panthers, Indianapolis Colts, New Orleans Saints, maybe the Cleveland Browns if they move on from Deshaun Watson, and the Seattle Seahawks. But I'm throwing out Seattle because I don't think that the Niners are going to trade Jimmy Garoppolo inside the division. I think for a Garoppolo trade to happen, the medical stuff, of course, has to check out, but the Deshaun Watson domino has to fall first because after that, Garoppolo could be the most sought-after quarterback on the market. So has his trade value cratered? I think that's going a little bit too far. We're still early in the offseason, only day 2 of NFL free agency, but at some point, the Niners have a roster decision to make. They have to let go or trade Garoppolo in order to free up about $26 million on the cap. And if they don't, it prohibits you from building out the rest of your roster, a roster that is ready to compete for a deep playoff spot right now. Will Jimmy G get traded? Will he get cut? You let me know. Predict it. Look into the crystal ball for me. Type T for trade or C for cut. And make sure you give me a follow on Twitter and Instagram at Chase_Senior. I've been giving shout outs on our live shows as well as these videos to all of you who interact with me on social media and give me a follow. I tweet out video clips. I tweet out the best takes. You can even tip me on Twitter now as I hooked it up through Venmo because somehow Jack was able to verify me and I have that blue check mark. Somewhat overrated, but I'll take it. Either way, give me a follow at Chase_Senior. Lastly, Arden Key. Is he going to come back to the Bay? I'm actually somewhat surprised that his market has been somewhat silent. Why is that? Because I think he's one of the better pass rushers out there on free agency, especially with the price tag that he's demanding. And I thought because he had a really good season that maybe another team out there was going to overpay for Arden Key, at least yet. That has not happened. And Mike Garafolo of NFL Network said this, that maybe he has to prove himself in order to get that bag, which would then maybe open up an opportunity for him to come back to San Francisco. Garafolo had a chat with Arden Key late in the season for Good Morning Football Weekend on why he had a breakout season last year. He might have to show he can do it one more time before cashing in big, a la Hassan Reddick, who just got $15 million per year from the Philadelphia Eagles. Outside of quarterback and offensive line, I think pass rushers are the most important positions to really hone in on when you're building a football team. You got to get after the opposing quarterback, you have to protect the quarterback, and you have to have a quarterback. And Arden Key was really, really good the latter half of the season once he really started to master this defensive scheme. And opposite of Eric Armstead on the interior, he slid inside from defensive end where he kind of failed and looked to be a bust with the Raiders. He plays D-tackle, really thrived and flourished. 22 tackles, 6.5 sacks, was really getting after the quarterback with a bunch of quarterback pressures. Some pass breakups as well, but Arden Key has talent, and if he doesn't have a market out there and San Francisco can bring him back for, let's say, $5-6 million, I'd be all in because I think the player is good. He understands this scheme, and he was really able to prove that he's not a bust under DeMeco Ryans as well as Chris Kocurek. So those two guys have done a great job bringing along defensive linemen. Arden Key, one of their latest projects, and hopefully Javon Kinlaw is next because with DJ Jones walking, they need him to produce. Will Key be back? Major key, as DJ Khaled once said. B for back, G for gone. Subscribe to the channel. This is your one-stop shop for all things Niners, all throughout free agency and all throughout the calendar year. So join the faithful family, and thanks for watching today's show.